Hey, it's Stuart Klein here. Welcome to assignment number 2 for myself in PIDP 3260. Today we're going to be talking evaluation strategies. And specifically, I'm going to give you a general overview of some of the strategies that I use for evaluating my teaching practice now, currently. And then we're going to develop one idea of something I would like to do more so in the future and really take a bit of a deeper dig into why I want to try that. So first of all, about me, I'm a equipment and heavy vehicle operator instructor. So I teach people how to drive and I teach people how to operate equipment. Um, my courses can typically last anywhere from 1 day to 1 week in duration, and I see a lot of students throughout the year. Some of the strategies or pieces that I use currently in my practice is for every course that we teach, we send out a formalized survey. It's distributed to each and every participant, and it's delivered in an online format where they take it away and it's like a survey. The survey has a total of approximately 33 questions, and we talk about things, like where's the employee from, what department do they work in, when did they take the training. We talk about their experience in the course, and those typically end up being on an agree or disagree scale, from strongly disagree to strongly agree. We look at course content, and how do they feel about the course content? How did it work for them? Did it fully cover or explore the topic they were hoping, or did it not meet their expectations? And again, that's in an agree disagree scale or context. Then we have a total of about 9 questions in that survey, with regarding to the instructor and how the instructor delivered the course. Were they able to meet objectives? Or were they able to keep your attention? Questions along those lines. And finally, we ask them, will they be able to use this in their training, or how will they use it in their training? The last 7 questions we have on our survey talk about, they're looking for more of a written answer, something descriptive, something qualitative, like what helped you learn? What will you do differently now? What was the most valuable? What was the least valuable? And if there's anything different in this course, what would it be? What would that be to help you out? So admittedly, I look at each and every one of these surveys as I come back for the courses that I teach. And some of the answers that I really enjoy the most are the ones that have a description to them. But being frank, those are also the hardest questions to get people to answer because they require a little bit more effort. So the survey is good, and I do use them regularly, but sometimes it's difficult to glean answers out of people and have them actually commit to doing it. A second form of evaluation I use in our courses is a written evaluation. I have students complete some kind of evaluation, and as an instructor, that gives me the opportunity to check the measurement of how much they learned in my course. Am I meeting my objectives as the instructor in helping them learn the content that we require? Small group instructor feedback, probably one of my favorite. Yeah, I'd say probably one of my favorite forms of feedback. We do this 3 times a year per instructor, and we hire an outside professional to come in and sort of conduct this small group instructor feedback with one of our classes, where that instructor will talk to our group ahead of time, let them know that I've asked them to come in, and we're going to be seeking their feedback for the purposes of my development. And I find that when students hear that, when they feel validated that um, when their feedback is requested, when people want to hear what they have to say, I find that they open a lot more, as opposed to like these anonymous online surveys. And then when the hired instructor goes ahead and gives me the feedback out of it, I usually get a set of notes, or I'll get a bit of a document outlining the group's thoughts. I like to keep those notes by my desk. I will either use that document or I'll rewrite it myself and summarize the main points, and I put it up in my workstation. I kind of always have it in behind my screen where I can consistently look at it. And when I'm doing my coursework or prepping for my classes, or even printing off evaluations, these things keep popping front of mind as I see them regularly. So I really enjoy that part of it. And I find my students are a lot more honest in those situations. So again, we do that 3 times a year, and I'd love to do it more if we could. For myself, checking in on my progress, I have regular reviews and check-ins with my manager. We do an annual review where he will look at some of the surveys that he gets back and sort of sum up how he thinks my teaching is going. what the students are saying, what other managers are talking to and communicating to him. And then we'll also have monthly meetings within our working group to discuss and evaluate our performances, what's gone good, what hasn't gone good. When I conduct driver training, my sessions last from 3 to 5 days for professional drivers, and soon escalating to 3.5 weeks for some. So I like to implement what I call a daily parking lot for driver training, where we'll do some theory in the morning and we'll talk about what we're going to be working on throughout the day. We end up out on the road, and during our road sessions, we'll work on the practical skills, and we come back to class at the end of the day, and I have the student evaluate their own progress and what they would like to work on the next day. And as an instructor, I can tell I'm doing a good job when what the student wants to work on, when the scope of that keeps building. If we keep coming back day after day and they keep want to work on the same things, well, maybe I'm not doing as good a job as I could in helping them learn so that they can move past that. If we're increasing the complexity or increasing the degree to which we're learning a topic, hey, it's a good evaluation for me in seeing that we're moving on, we're progressing, we're getting better. Evaluates my teaching practice, and it lets me understand if the topics we're working on are really making sense to the student. This last topic, peer mentoring or peer-to-peer teacher review, is one that I've tried once, and this is the one that I want to explore a little bit deeper. I want to really check in on how we can implement this into our regular course of action at work, because it really interests me. We like to call it mentoring, and it'll consist of a pre-meet, a sit-in on the classroom, and maybe a debrief at the end of it, where we'll sit and have a coffee and candidly talk about how the day went. There's one other instructor who performs my role within my company, and we're very tight, and our desks are next to each other, and we have the ability to be completely open and honest with each other, which is excellent. So what I'll have is my partner will come in and he'll sit in on the course. He'll experience the course. He will watch and monitor myself for delivery. How am I delivering it? How am I engaging my students? How are the students reacting, or how are the students experiencing this? And then at the end of it, he'll make some notes, and we'll sit down and debrief. He'll provide me some feedback, and I will provide him some feedback. It lets us explore this topic a little bit more. We can dig in, and it's not just a one and done. So this peer-to-peer mentoring or peer-to-peer teacher review, it's new to us, and it's been really challenging to implement because of the pandemic over the last couple of years. It's been really difficult to build up and try and get going because classes have been narrow, and we haven't been allowed to be in the same room actually. So some of the reasons why I want to try and why I think it's going to be really valuable to our workplace is it's readily accessible. We're both there. We can work it around our schedules, and we can make it work. It's really of minimal cost to our organization because our time is accounted for. And we both have the ability to be very truthful in this because it's going to come from a place of caring. We really want to see each other get better. So being honest and recognizing that our peer evaluator is being completely honest, we know that it's from a place of caring because we want each other to get better. It also will help with attempting to create some consistency within our program where we're both hearing and giving the same feedback to each other, or we're both hearing the same things and working through it constructively together. One of our goals within our program is, because we can sometimes have our students for a day, we want to not just have it that one day of training and gone. We try to create long-lasting relationships with our students. And so this peer-to-peer mentoring, it's a real way to assess of what kind of job we're doing as far as creating those friendships, creating those networks. What kind of relationship building are we doing? And, a written survey or something or a written test, very hard to gauge that. It's really something that you can only do in person. And I think that's going to lend well to our program going forward. I do much the same as I do in the smaller group instructor feedback, or I envision us doing the same. And then I'll take the written summary from my teammate and I'll create a bit of a vision sheet. I'll take his notes, take his comments, I'll put them on a sheet and identify things I want to work on or things we want to work on together. And I'll again put them up in behind my workstation so that they're front of mind all the time. And as I prepare for my upcoming courses, prep for delivery, I can refer to that vision sheet. And then as I have an idea that pops in my head, I can even run it past them right at that time. and use them as a sounding board so we can plan and build our courses and sort of work through our growth as instructors together. Feedback between us would be regular, and with regular reporting back to our supervisor, we would do that, and we would share both our successes and our setbacks. And it allows us to try out some new ideas in an environment where we know that taking risks is okay, because it's okay to fail once in a while. And we're fortunate we have the full support of our manager on that. So a couple articles that came to my attention while doing this. One was from UBC, and it was titled "Formative Peer Review of Teaching." And what was interesting in that document is they highly encourage you to consider reciprocal peer review, where the instructors observe each other teaching, and then they can reflect on what they've learned through the observation and share feedback as relevant back and forth, which for us is perfect. There's two of us, and it would be a reciprocal process. And that sort of parlayed into another article from Indiana University, where it talks about peer review, and it provides informed consideration of a candidate's teaching that student ratings cannot address. So only another instructor can know if you're making the mark on breadth and depth and the rigor of the course activities and materials. And as far as course management goes and interactions between the students and the teacher, what better resource than another teacher? The same article from Indiana University talked about the frequency and duration. So how long should we do these peer feedback sessions, or how often? And they talked about they should be conducted more than once in a semester. And the peer reviewers should, when they come in, observe the entire class, which I think is valid, because you get the start to finish, whole cradle to grave end of things from a class, and it gives you some context. Related back to one further piece, when you're reviewing your peers or when you're giving feedback or receiving feedback, for a teacher to experience being evaluated provides us an invaluable window into the visceral, emotionally charged reactions students get when we evaluate their work. And that's an excerpt from Brookfield, The Skillful Teacher. It talks about how much, if we're doing peer review, if we're getting the feedback and we're giving the feedback, I think when we get feedback, we're going to do a better job of understanding what it's like to get feedback. So it's going to make us stronger providers of feedback when it comes to our students, and that can only do wonders for our classroom. So yeah, my students, if I'm going to try something new based on feedback that I've been given, I think I'm going to recognize it with my students moving forward. I'm going to lay it out at the beginning of the class that, hey, maybe from your feedback, I'm trying something new. And it's not really asking for forgiveness, but it's acknowledging that I'm trying something new. And if it doesn't go well, let's learn from it together and create a good learning environment for all of us. My colleagues, or my colleague and my manager, they're going to be supportive of this whole process. And I'm really looking forward to instituting this peer-to-peer review in my practice. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this session. The delving into evaluation has really made me think. We have to think about what the purpose is, why are we doing it, and what are we going to do with that information when we get it. So I want to thank you for the opportunity of doing this project, and I look forward to your feedback. Thanks very much.